Sometimes life shifts without warning. One moment, you're struggling to keep everything from falling apart, and the next, something breaks open that you never saw coming. Breakthrough doesn't always announce itself politely. It doesn't send you a calendar reminder. It doesn't wait until you feel ready, organized, or fully healed. Sometimes life changes suddenly, unexpectedly, in the very moment you were ready to give up. You've been faithful in the dark. You've been pushing when you felt like collapsing. You've been holding on to hope with tired hands, and because you didn't quit, a shift is on its way. You may not see the transformation happening yet, but that doesn't mean progress isn't moving behind the scenes. The breakthrough is aligning, the blessing is forming, the tables are turning in your favor. Suddenly, what was heavy will be lifted. Suddenly, what was complicated will become clear. Suddenly, what was closed off will swing wide open. Suddenly is the language of destiny. There are seasons where everything feels slow progress, healing, answers, but then comes the moment where years of waiting meet a second of release. You've been crying in private, but joy is preparing to show up publicly. You've been overlooked, but favor is about to speak your name in rooms you haven't even stepped into yet. You've lost some things that felt like they were holding your world together, but you're about to see why they had to fall away. You've been asking for a sign that it's worth continuing. Here it is. The shift is closer than it looks. The same struggle that tried to break you is going to be the reason you rise. The same pain that made you question your value is going to reveal your strength. The same loneliness that made you doubt your worth is about to show you who truly belongs in your life. Nothing you've endured is wasted. The pressure, the tears, the heartbreak, all of it has been building something powerful in you. Get ready for the rug to be pulled not from underneath you, but out from under your doubts. Get ready for opportunities to chase you down. Get ready for peace to replace panic. Get ready to wake up one day soon and wonder how everything changed so fast in your favor. You're stepping into a season where blessings will not trickle, they will pour. This is not the end of your story. This is the plot twist. You held on through the storm. You didn't lose yourself in the battle. And now the sudden shift is coming your way. Life is about to show you that things can get better quicker than they got worse. A breakthrough is not on the way, it's already moving toward you, suddenly. Your life is about to change. Breakthrough doesn't always show up slow and predictable. It doesn't always give you signs that it's getting closer. Sometimes, while you are overwhelmed, tired, doubting, and questioning everything, things begin shifting in ways you can't detect. You might look around and see no progress, no movement, no evidence that anything is changing for the better, but breakthrough does its best work quietly, behind the scenes, while your heart is learning endurance and your character is being strengthened. Just because you can't trace the progress doesn't mean change isn't already on its way to your doorstep. Life has a way of surprising you when you least expect it. You can go from overlooked to seen in one conversation. You can go from empty to overflowing in one opportunity. You can go from broken to blooming because of one moment that transforms everything. The same situation that felt like it was holding you back can become the launch pad that pushes you forward. Breakthrough doesn't need permission from your pain to show up. It doesn't wait for you to feel strong. It comes right into the middle of your exhaustion and says, now is the time. There will be a day where the very thing that has been pressing on you suddenly lifts. The weight you've been carrying for so long will feel lighter. The prayers that felt unanswered will produce results you couldn't have imagined. The doors that stayed shut will open so fast you'll wonder how you survived for so long without what's now rushing into your life. That's what breakthrough does. It changes the narrative in a moment, and when it comes, it makes up for the delay, the tears, the confusion, the waiting. It reminds you that nothing is ever too late when it's meant for you. Just because your life looks stuck doesn't mean your story is stuck. Breakthrough happens at the intersection of persistence and purpose. Every day you kept going when quitting felt easier added power to the shift that's coming. Every time you stood back up, even when you didn't know why you should, You were building the capacity to carry what's ahead. Sometimes breakthrough waits to arrive until you can appreciate it with the maturity you gained from the struggle. People may judge your progress based on what they can see, but they don't know what is aligning for you beyond the visible. They don't see the way your heart has healed, the strength you've developed, the wisdom you've earned. Breakthrough arrives when your internal transformation is ready to support your external promotion. And when it comes suddenly, not because the process was quick, but because the reveal is. One moment of breakthrough can flip years of frustration into purpose. One opportunity can replace seasons of lack. One shift can silence all the doubt that ever told you progress wasn't coming. You don't have to see the how or the when. You just need to stay positioned, stay open, stay expectant, because breakthrough doesn't need time, it needs timing, and yours is closer than you think. Sometimes the biggest blessings begin as the hardest battles. You don't always recognize the miracle when it's still in its messy stage. You may be praying for a breakthrough, but what arrives first is pressure. You may ask for change, and what comes initially looks like chaos. That's because God often hides transformation inside of turmoil. The discomfort you feel is not punishment, it's preparation. When something is about to shift in your life, everything that doesn't belong in the next season gets shaken loose. And that shaking can feel like loss, disappointment, or failure, but it is actually making room for what is meant to grow in your life. There are moments where you feel like everything is falling apart, the relationships, the plans, the confidence you used to have. You look around and wonder why everything familiar suddenly feels unstable. That is the tension point of breakthrough. It's the moment the old you can't survive and the new you is still developing. When a seed is planted in the ground, it breaks before it grows. The shell cracks open, its structure is disrupted. But that breaking is not the end, it's the beginning. You are in that same kind of breaking, not to destroy you, but to release your potential. What looks like a breakdown is often a divine strategy. You're being pulled away from comfort because comfort doesn't create growth. You're being pushed into uncertainty because faith can't function where everything is guaranteed. The confusion you feel is simply God rearranging the path beneath your feet. You think things are falling apart, but they are actually falling into place. The job you lost, the people who walked away, the door that slammed shut, these are all signs of a break, through trying to reach you without the interruption of what no longer serves you. Pain can be a signal that birth is happening. When a woman is in labor, the contraction is a sign the baby is coming. The pain announces the purpose. You would never tell a mother that she is being punished when she is in labor. You would tell her to breathe, to push, to hold on, because what she prayed for is on the way. That is exactly what heaven is saying to you. Breathe, push, hold on, because what you asked God for is closer than you think. The struggle is the evidence, not the contradiction. Breakdowns expose what can't go with you. They pull back layers, revealing what has been hidden, blocking or weighing you down. You may not like the process, but you will love the result. You are not losing your mind, you are losing your limitations. You are not falling apart, you are falling forward. Your tears are watering the seeds of your breakthrough. Every day you choose to fight, to believe, to hope. You are partnering with the transformation taking place in the unseen. So don't misinterpret the moment. What feels like a collapse is a construction zone. God is rebuilding you stronger, wiser, and more aligned with your purpose. When it's finished, you will look back and realize the breakdown wasn't the enemy, it was the doorway. And you will thank God for the very thing that once made you question if He was still with you. Sometimes the greatest changes in your life are happening long before you ever see the result. There are shifts taking place behind the scenes, in spiritual realms you can't access with your natural eyes. You may think nothing is changing because nothing looks different, but the unseen is where God does His most powerful work. A seed grows in darkness before it rises into the light. Roots form underground before the tree reaches the sky. Transformation often starts in silence, in hidden places where God is building strength, character, and resilience inside of you. When you feel stuck, it's easy to assume that God has forgotten about you or that your prayers are unheard. But delay is not denial. Just because you can't see progress doesn't mean progress isn't happening. You might be in a season where nothing seems to move, where every day feels the same, where you're waiting for a miracle that feels late. Yet it is in those exact seasons that God is arranging divine connections, clearing obstacles, and positioning you for what's coming. You don't see it because he is working internally before he reveals externally. Think about how a pot of water looks still before reaching the boiling point. It heats slowly, quietly, but once it hits the tipping point, everything shifts fast. Your life might be heating up in unseen ways right now, tests that stretch you, challenges that refine you, battles that teach you to fight. It's all building toward a moment when change will break through suddenly. Sometimes the unseen work is about stripping away what can't go with you into the next level. Relationships shift unexpectedly. Opportunities that once seemed perfect close. Plans you were so sure of fall apart. These are not signs of destruction, they are signs of alignment. God removes what blocks your future before he releases what builds it, and that can feel confusing when you don't understand the full picture. Hidden growth is sacred growth. It is the season where God strengthens your identity so you won't shrink when the new blessings arrive. It's where he fortifies your faith so you can handle the weight of answered prayers. If God gave you everything you're asking for before you were ready, the blessing might break you. So instead, he prepares you quietly. He develops patience, endurance, and trust in the waiting. You are learning to depend on him, not the visible evidence. You are learning that faith is not about seeing, it is about believing even when nothing around you confirms the promise. When God works in the unseen, he protects the process from doubt, fear, and sabotage. Not everyone in your life is meant to see what God is building in you. Some people would discourage the dream before it even forms. Some would talk you out of what God is calling you into, so he hides you. He hides your growth. He hides your next chapter until it's strong enough to withstand exposure. Hidden doesn't mean forgotten, hidden means preserved. A day is coming when what God has been building in silence will suddenly be undeniable. The doors that wouldn't open before will swing wide. The opportunities that were once unreachable will chase you down. The prayers you whispered in tears will become testimonies you speak with joy. You won't just see change, you will step into it. And when it happens, you'll realize that every quiet moment, every waiting season, every unseen battle was necessary to prepare you for the sudden shift that is on its way to your life. When God is about to change your life suddenly, one of the most powerful signs is that he starts shifting your environment, not always in loud, dramatic ways, but often in subtle, uncomfortable ways that push you out of what you've known. You start recognizing that the spaces you used to fit into no longer feel like home. Conversations that once fueled you start falling flat. People you thought would always walk with you suddenly become distant or act differently. This shift is not rejection, it is redirection. God is relocating you mentally, emotionally, spiritually, sometimes physically, because the environment that helped you survive is not the same environment that will help you thrive. There are moments where you feel like you no longer belong where you've been planted. You feel your spirit stretching, your capacity increasing, your hunger for more awakening. You can't settle for what you used to accept. Your standards change, your values shift. You find yourself longing for growth, elevation, and purpose. This is not you being difficult, it's you evolving. When God is preparing a sudden breakthrough, he disconnects you from anything that would limit the greatness he's calling out of you. That might mean friendships fade, habits become uncomfortable, and comfort zones start collapsing. It doesn't feel good, but it is good for you. Sometimes the shift is internal before it shows up externally. You begin to outgrow old mindsets. Fear doesn't grip you the way it used to. The approval of others doesn't hold the same power over your decisions. What once intimidated you now feels like a challenge you're ready to take on. You might wake up with new ideas, new dreams, or a fire inside that you can't explain. That is God rewiring your vision. He is resetting your expectations higher because He is taking you somewhere higher. Internal transformation always precedes external elevation, but let's be honest, transitions can feel lonely. It's confusing when everything familiar becomes foreign. You question if you're making a mistake because growth rarely comes with applause. You watch others stay comfortable while you're being pulled into discomfort. Yet the loneliness is confirmation that you are being separated for something greater, not left behind. When God is leading you into a new season, He often isolates you long enough to reveal your strength, your identity, and your dependence on Him instead of the validation of people. Environmental shifts are a sign of movement. They are evidence that the ground beneath you is preparing to open into new territory. You may not know exactly where you're going, but you can feel deep inside that staying where you are is no longer an option. God won't let you settle not when purpose is calling. He will disturb your comfort to deliver your calling. He will close doors you tried desperately to keep open. He will remove access to rooms where you no longer belong. And even when you don't understand it, the shift is His protection and His preparation. So if you feel uncomfortable, misunderstood, disconnected, or stretched, don't panic. You are not being uprooted to be discarded. You are being transplanted into better soil. God is aligning your environment with your next level. The shaking is not a sign that things are falling apart, it's a sign that things are falling into place. The shift is evidence that your sudden transformation is near. When you are on the edge of a sudden breakthrough, one of the clearest signs is that your past starts trying to pull you back. Old temptations, old insecurities, old patterns, even old relationships suddenly show up again, not because you're going backward, but because you're growing forward. The enemy doesn't bother what isn't moving, but the moment you step toward purpose, distractions get louder. The triggers you thought you healed from might resurface. The doubts you silenced might try to speak again. The familiar might seem safer than the unknown. This is not a sign that you failed, it is a sign that your breakthrough is close. Pressure always increases right before elevation. Temptations show up because your future requires discipline. You can't carry old habits into a new season. The new level God is preparing you for demands a stronger version of you, one that doesn't fold when discomfort comes, one that doesn't run back to what broke them, one that understands the cost of purpose is consistency even when it's hard. Growth will expose what you still need to release. It will highlight weak places, not to shame you, but to strengthen you. When you feel tugged backward, that's your cue to lean in harder, pray deeper, push forward with greater determination. Sometimes the pullback comes from people, individuals who loved you most when you were the version of you that was easy to control. As you heal, as you break generational cycles, as you realize your worth, they may not know how to handle your transformation. They may call you different, distant, or difficult. They may question your decisions or make you feel guilty for wanting more, but their comfort cannot dictate your calling. If someone's presence threatens your progress, distance becomes necessary. God is not calling you back into cycles of pain just because they're familiar. You may also battle thoughts that try to convince you you're not ready, not worthy, or not capable of stepping into more. Those thoughts are lies sent to delay you. You wouldn't be facing resistance this strong if what was coming wasn't powerful. The pullback is proof of potential. The warfare is proof of value. Your purpose is too big for the enemy to ignore. He tries to remind you of who you used to be so you'll forget who you're becoming, but every step forward, even the shaky ones, weakens the hold of the past. In this stage, discipline becomes your weapon. Not discipline as punishment, but discipline as protection, protecting your mind from negative thoughts, protecting your heart from toxic influences, protecting your purpose from anything that tries to diminish it. You have to be intentional with what you entertain, what you believe, and what you allow. You are training your spirit to choose destiny over comfort. Every no to what once held you is a yes to what God has promised. The pullback before a breakthrough is like a bow being drawn. It looks like you're being dragged in the wrong direction, but you're really being positioned for acceleration. Tension is necessary to launch you farther than you've ever gone. It may feel like you're fighting old battles, but this time you're fighting with new strength. This time you're aware, this time you're prepared, and this time you will win. So when the past calls, don't answer. When old habits try to creep back in, shut the door. When fear whispers, speak faith louder. You have come too far. You have survived too much. The resistance you feel isn't a warning to quit, it's confirmation to keep going. The pullback is the last step before the sudden shift. The moment right before everything changes is often the moment that feels the most overwhelming, the most uncertain, and the most exhausting. It's that season when you've done everything you know to do, you've prayed every prayer you can pray, you've shown up even when it hurt, and yet you're still waiting. It feels like time is standing still while the pressure keeps building. You wonder how much longer you can keep believing without seeing anything shift, but that exact moment, the one where you feel like giving up, is usually the moment right before the breakthrough hits. Sudden change doesn't come when you feel strong and ready. It comes when you feel like you can't take another step. The breaking point becomes the breakthrough point. Faith doesn't mean you won't feel discouraged or tired. It means you choose to hold on even when your feelings try to let go. You may not see evidence yet, but God is still moving. When the story looks unfinished, it's not time to quit, it's time to trust deeper. Your tears are not a sign of weakness. They are proof that you're still fighting for what you believe is coming. Sometimes faith looks like celebrating without a visible reason, like waking up with expectation even when yesterday broke your heart, like refusing to shrink back into fear even when fear feels louder than hope. Your perseverance is not in vain. Every step of obedience, every act of faith in silence, every moment you decide not to give up, heaven sees it all. Sudden breakthroughs require preparation, and preparation often looks like waiting. Waiting with a determined spirit, waiting while life tests your patience, waiting while God builds character in you that will sustain the promise once it manifests. Many people can believe for a blessing, but not everyone can wait for a blessing. The wait is where maturity forms. The wait is where strength develops. The wait teaches you not to rely on circumstances, but on the one who controls them. And while you wait, God aligns resources, orchestrates timing, and connects the right people at the right moment. What feels delayed to you is perfectly timed from His perspective. When breakthrough arrives, it doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't gradually blend into your life. It shows up with a shift so undeniable that even your doubts have to bow. Suddenly the job opens. Suddenly the relationship heals. Suddenly the opportunity appears. Suddenly the answer comes. And when it does, you will look back and realize that everything you endured, every heartbreak, every disappointment, every silent night was working together to bring you to that moment. What once made you cry will become the reason you celebrate. What once felt like a setback will be revealed as a setup. So even if the waiting feels long, keep going. Even when your heart feels tired, keep believing. Even when your thoughts try to convince you that nothing is happening, keep speaking life over your future. You are closer than you think. The breakthrough isn't coming from a distance, it's rising beneath the surface, gaining momentum, preparing to unfold. And when it arrives, it will happen so fast, so beautifully, so undeniably, that every piece of the journey will suddenly make sense. Hold on, lean in, stay ready. The wait is almost over, and the shift is already on its way to your life.